Peekaboo! Hello everybody, I am Jonathan, also known as the PC Genie, and I've got a special box today. Now, the general rule that I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, with presents or other boxes that you receive, whether you bought it yourself or somebody else bought it for you, is, general rule, the heavier it is, the better it is. If someone's just buying you some rubbish novelty socks for Christmas or something, boring, weighs next to nothing, or if someone's buying you something like a sword for your 18th birthday, actually happened, which is the archer sword I've previously reviewed, or I buy myself this, which has a fair bit of weight to it, it's a very good thing. Weight equals quality. Not always exactly. But anyway, let's get to opening it up and seeing what's inside. So let me just get my knife out. Sorry, I'm supposed to be serious here. Let me get another knife, a bigger one. No, sorry. Let me try another one. No. Oh, this is much more like it. Actually, no it's not. There we go, this is a suitable knife for opening a box. So let's have a slice inside. Right, so get the bits around here. Several layers of tape. Bit crude, but whatever. I'm not here for the quality of the box, or otherwise I would just buy a cardboard box with tape on it. It's great. If I need to finally manipulate it, I can half sword with this thing. Yes. Okay. That's one layer of the mystery package. Ah, I don't need to open anything more, hopefully. Except for all of these flaps. This flap. Stick down. This flap. This flap. Alright. Ah! Ha ha ha! So, okay everybody, take a guess what this is. So let's take this bubble wrap away. Oh, it's so exciting! Another murdering tool. I mean, what was it the person called it during that diagnosis of me? Fighting implement, yes. Another fighting implement. Practically shaking with excitement. Here we go. It is, obviously, as anybody would purchase, a crossbow. And it's not just one where I can just go kind of, you know, ooh, just put the foot stirrup in there and then actually, no. It's not one that I can span by hand. It's not a windlass crossbow, which is the most powerful you can get. If any of you guys have recreationally used crossbows before, the typical ones you get for, you know, like the, they call them kind of compound ones, or you sort of recurve, a bit like, you know, modern archery bow type of style, but in a crossbow. From what I've seen, those tend to be around 70 or 80 pound draw weight, and the sort of crossbow on these sorts of lines that can be hand spun can go up to about, I think it's 120, 150 pounds. The most powerful ones, the extreme ones that you need a windlass or a cranaquin. Cranaquin kind of, it has several steps, and it's sort of like a sort of a winch type of thing, except it's got several teeth, so it sticks, and it basically works in a cog and gear kind of system, and you whale it across like that, or a windlass, which is more of a pulley, you know, rope system. We go like that, which gradually pulls it up. Those can go up to 1,500 or so pounds. Those are just obscene. This is something in the middle, so it's not going to take me half a year to reload, so we can get to the action a bit more quickly, but it's got a fair amount of power in it. I mean, this string feels like a piece of wood. In fact, the whole thing is it's very sturdy. It looks like something will kind of wiggle and wobble and whatnot, but everything is absolutely stiff and secure, except of course for the firing mechanism, which will do a bit of that when I let go of the bolt. Then it locks in place, it'll draw back. It's got a shorter span than some crossbows. I think they go back to about here, and then it goes twang. I'll need to get a decent target though, because my current archery equipment will not stand it. What would happen is I would shoot all the way through it and then into the garage wall. Now, we have, let's see, there are two, it should be, oh, here's the goat's foot lever. So this is the, I was going to say firing mechanism, it's the loading mechanism. So I won't demonstrate it because I shouldn't have the bow braced at full length, and I can't dry loose it either and, you know, make it go twang without a bolt in it. It's just bad for bows. But it should be, if I remember rightly, you've got, yeah, these bits coming out the side. Will come closer. So if you look at these bits here on the side, these bits are basically where the goat's foot lever goes. So this has a sort of hook that goes underneath. Let's see if I can show you. So it has this bit which latches over this, and then it should go like that. Trying to remember if it's the right way around. Actually, it might be. God, I haven't used one of these before, bearing in mind. So it might be this bit goes on a string. Yeah, here we go. So it'd have this bit on a string, and then this bit. So yeah, here we are. These front hooks go over the string. These rear hooks go onto stirrups. Now I'd basically. It might be the other way around. I haven't used a crossbow before. Maybe it's this way around? No, I'm sure I saw it looking like that. So then it goes... Oh, yes, that's it. It actually just rests on top. So it looks like that. So these hooks go in here. This bit just sort of rests on there. And I'll part draw it. Hang on. So it kind of looks like that. It slips. And as I'm pulling the lever back for maximum leverage, it's sort of, you know, slipping off into my groin there. You'll see, I'm almost drawing it. And then it'll go all the way back, hook behind this steel mechanism here, which is stiff at the moment. And the firing mechanism is really simple. Basically, as soon as I pull this trigger, it just lets it go loose. So then, while it's resisting against here, pull the trigger, slips through. Simple as that. That's how a crossbow works. And this foot stirrup means if I need to add extra leverage, like for example I'm not feeling particularly strong after some dysentery or something, I can put the foot stirrup in there, and a bit like doing a draw like this, I can put a bit more of my body into it whilst I'm doing the lever action. Now in terms of the bolts, I've actually got a lot of two different types. I seem to have 3 or more. What does this say? Dear Jonathan, many thanks for the order. All the best, Todd. Personal message. So I've got this, and this. Now it's going to be a lucky dip what I get first. Also happens to have staples in it. I do not know why it has staples in it. Let's use this small thing. I'm going to edit a lot of this. Okay, there we go. So here we have a set of bolts. Okay, so these are the second type. I actually wanted to show this last. But these are wooden fletched bolts. I'll come closer to the camera through all of the debris. So here we have, let's get one example out here. So you've got wooden fletchings on these. You don't need a proper sort of, you know, knock as they call it, like on arrows, because as long as it pushes against the bolt string, it's not as thin and doesn't need to lock in as much. It just basically acts almost like a plate sort of pushing against it. So you can have less, you know, a bit more margin for error on that. Wooden fletchings, which tend to last longer in storage, they're not going to get eaten away as feathers and whatnot. There have been videos done about the reason for having wooden fletchings by other people. You can see it's bit of a bend. That's not an imperfection, it's so it can spin in flight. And this is a short bodkin point. So you've got the longer, narrower bodkins, which are good for piercing mail armour. This is only butted mail on here, but I've got a riveted chainmail shirt. So it basically finds its way into a ring and splits it apart. This shorter bodkin is a bit sturdier because the problem with the thin point is that it's easier to just let it bend, whereas something like this is a shorter, stubbier point and it has more punch to it. That's one of the advantages of these. And these have all been handmade by Todd, which is great. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. So it'd be, I think I've got 9 of these bodkin bolts and 12 of the other types. Let's find out in the next Lucky Dip box. Here we are. So here we have, just filled with the next 3 bodkin point bolts. I could literally just, it's like playing darts, but you'll die. This is so much fun. Unboxing. I don't usually do unboxing videos. In here, we've got bubble wrap. Hang on. So in here will be the other set, which are not the historically accurate sort of type, which are those ones there, for actual testing against, you know, resistant materials and things to see how they would do historically. These are the ones for general target shooting, and I have got, I think I got a dozen of them. Let me check. We have got 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12! So I might just about do well enough in a siege. So imagine I have all of these, all of it. So if I want to, you know, get a bit of distance, maybe do a bit of punch, I've got these ones, you know, and then I can go, oh, well, actually, I need some more authentic shooting that'll do well against armour. And I've got these. Let's go, yeah, great. So let's bring this one. I love this. So we see this here. It has the feathered fletchings. In fact, let me put the crossbow down. So we have these. You see the veins here have feathered fletchings. I think this is actually made of some sort of plastic, a bit like the archery arrows that I have myself. And same sort of thing here. There's no real knock. It just has a stocky bit here, which will resist against the string. And then here, these are, they have a kind of aesthetic, a bit like bodkin points, except they are actually, they're probably a bit closer to field points. They'll actually have more puncturing and penetration than something like a basic field point that you get on some archery arrows, but this isn't going to be, if I want to do armour tests, these won't be as suitable, because they'll have some piercing to them, but they won't show the full potential of a crossbow. It'd be maybe a situation where I'd show these first and try experimenting with them, and then if they fail to penetrate the target, we'll say, well, it's not quite a real bolt, and then I'll use the other ones and start getting wild with them. So yeah, these are ones that I can basically shoot around, and if a few of them get broken or have problems with the fletchings or get dulled, it's not going to be a disaster. I've got a dozen of these, and then in the meantime, the ones I want to do the true experiments with, the ones I think will really have a hard test, I can use the other bolts and not worry about them being destroyed when I'm doing more general shooting. It's like if I had these before I went to the Swords and Cider event, I would definitely have used these 12 and not allowed the 9 proper bolts to be used. So yeah, that's my crossbow. I'm going to, I'll find a time to shoot. Like I said, I unfortunately don't have a decent target. So if I tried to shoot these around in my garage, I'd just be there going, say hello to my quite big friend. BAM! And shoot into the back wall of the garage, possibly penetrating a few inches into it. Oh dear. So yeah, I have a crossbow. See you later.